So surprise guest today for the Edge podcast. Welcome back, everybody. I've got two of my friends here from Chicago, two of our friends from Chicago, Sebastian Roberts, and he goes to Michigan State University, and Mr. Stonehurst down here on the bottom left, and he is going to be traveling the world.
He's a nomad.
He's a nomad. So, we got him on the podcast today. We had done some stuff in the past, and, specifically this top 10 list that we're about to talk about, top 10 NFL players that are not quarterbacks. Now, you may think it's kind of easy to be like, oh, well, we'll just throw everybody at the top of their position, right? That's got to be the most 10 valuable players. But how do they, affect winning? That's one of the things we're looking at. How do teams play without them, or possibly if they didn't have them? As well as how talented are they, at their position? Are they the best at their position? Are they the best, do they have the best route running, hand speed, whatever it is? So with that being said, if you guys just want to say anything just to the crowd, to introduce yourselves. Silent from the Peanut Gallery. All right, let's just get into it then.
Oh, sorry. I thought Sebastian was going. Hi, my name's Stone. I went to ASU, and I'm excited to be on the podcast to talk shit about the Packers.
Yeah, no, it's not all about that. But we love the Chicago energy. We love it. I'm sure you guys are fucking thrilled to have Aaron Rodgers back. Yay or nay?
Yeah, he's senile though, so we don't gotta worry about that.
Okay.
And half the team's gone because he stayed. Sorry.
Are you a Bears fan, Sebastian?
Oh yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, Stone unfortunately is as well, so it's a little.
Well, Stone's like a fan of like half the league, so.
The Raiders.
Oh my God!
The
Look
Raiders
at this guy!
at.
Look at this guy! Huh? Look at this guy, Mr. Raiders guy. All right, you did steal my wide receiver. He will be on the list. Just a little teaser, but where is the question? So I'm gonna start here. Number one. I think we should just start at number one because I think the list definitely gets harder the further down you get. Do we all agree with that?
Yeah.
So we'll just start with number one. For me, my most valuable player outside of quarterback in the NFL, and it previously was Aaron Donald last year, or going to last year's season, is now Derrick Henry. And just for me, the reason I put him above anybody else is that, I kind of was just telling Asher 10 minutes before we started this, Lamar Jackson is basically Derrick Henry because he is like the Baltimore Ravens offense, as is Derrick Henry is the Titans offense. But Lamar's the quarterback, and he can also throw the ball really well. Derrick Henry, without Derrick Henry on the Titans, I mean, you saw the just atrocious offense that they had with Ryan Tannehill, and they had other weapons. They had Julio, who was in and out, but still, they had AJ Brown, who was also in and out, but still, those are two talented wide receivers. And you're telling me they really just they quit. I mean, they couldn't score, they couldn't move the ball. You saw in the playoffs against the Bengals, 19 points against, a good Bengals defense, I guess, but they weren't anything crazy. 16 points, actually. Bengals won 19-16. But yeah, Derrick Henry's, the most impactful player, I think, outside of quarterback in the NFL. And he's the best at his position, no doubt. When healthy, 2,000-yard rusher. That's not an exaggeration. So let me know what you guys think about that. And who are your guys' number ones?
Well, for me, I've got Aaron Donald number one, just because I think he's still the most dominant defensive player, especially after what we saw in the Super Bowl, getting to Joe Burrow on that final play. He can just wreck a game whenever he wants to. But back to your Derrick Henry thing, I have him a little lower on the list. I can see why you have him one, because just what he does with the Titans, with the way he brings the linebackers up, which allows AJ Brown and Julio Jones and Corey Davis a couple years ago to do their thing behind the linebackers. And that play action that Henry sets up for Ryan Tannehill, I think that's Tannehill's greatest strength. So Henry really complements that really well. But I don't know. They did, the rest of the regular season after Derrick Henry got hurt up until the playoffs, I don't think there was as big of a fall off as a lot of people were expecting. And I know Dante Foreman he ran well. He ran better than a lot of other people were expecting to. I just have Henry lower. I think he is the most valuable running back. And the only running back I have on this list, but I still have Aaron Donald 1 for now.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm not going to disagree with you there, but I am going to pull up the Titans schedule because I mean Sebastian would know better than anybody. He had him in fantasy. What week did he get injured? I forget.
I think it was like week. I could be completely wrong, but I think it was like week 6 or 8.
Yeah,
It was like
It
halfway
was around
through,
there.
if I remember correctly. It was like halfway through. I don't know. I just remember, and it's not vividly remember, but I just remember there being like them struggling to beat like the Texans and shit. I don't remember if that happened 100%. I'm trying to check right now, but hey,
Week 8 is
Stone-
correct.
Week
Okay.
8.
Week 8.
Week 8. All right. Week 8 is correct. We got that verified by Mr. Stone Hirsch, Mr. Rock. Who's you guys' number ones though? Who I want to hear you guys's.
So I had him number 1 going into last season, and I still have him number 1, Mr. Donald.
All right. Mr.
Um,
Donald.
You know, it's hard not to have him at number 1 for what he does for that Rams defense. You know, eating up double teams and triple teams every play and still being able to produce the numbers that he does and the pressure numbers that he does allow. I mean, Ash already touched up on a lot of it, but it's just hard not to put him at number 1 because of the things he does for that defense. And, you know, he excels at everything. There's not one flaw, in my opinion, in that dude's game. And yeah, I think that he's the best at what he does and he's the most talented.
That's fair. That's
And then I'm not even mad about Derrick Henry being number 1. I got him a little lower, but, you know, Derrick Henry at 1, not mad at. Could definitely see it.
Yeah, no, I just think, you know, if you take him off the field, you know, you see what happens in an offense. And I know if you take Aaron Donald off the field, yes, their defense is going to be a lot different, but they're still going to have players that can like do something. You know what I mean? There's not going to be guys that can eat up double, triple teams like you said, but I mean, Jalen Ramsey will still have that back hold that, you know, held down.
Well, it just frees up the whole D line. Because I mean,
Yeah.
Leonard Floyd, if Aaron Donald's not on
Yeah.
that team, not on that line, is Leonard Floyd getting 2 sacks in the season? Because he gets a lot of those one-on-ones. He
got 2 sacks.
sometimes he
with the
gets
Bears.
no.
To
2
prove your
sacks.
point, yes. Saying he would get only around 2 sacks because that's what he did with the Bears when the Bears
Okay.
when
Point
Khalil Mack
is,
wasn't playing.
he would do something
Little
that's
PTSD for the Bears
insignificant.
fans here.
Correct.
Yeah.
And as a Broncos fan with Von Miller getting traded there, it was really looking like, especially towards, you know, maybe like the last 2 games, Von was a Bronco. I mean, really last year or 2 years ago, because he didn't play last year. And then a couple games this year. I mean, it looked like Von was really kind of falling off, and then he went to the Rams and had a huge impact on them in the playoffs. And I think that had a lot to do with Aaron Donald. And I feel like the recent contract Von Miller got has a lot to do with Aaron Donald's success too.
Yeah. Heard. Definitely heard. Stone.
But that, not to beat a dead
Disagree.
horse, but same as last year, same going into this year. As long as this guy's in the league, he's not going to not be number 1 for me. Aaron Donald, I'm not going to, you know, beat a dead horse, but he did have 100 pressures this season. He's had that 4 out of 5 times. I think he had 100.
Wow.
4 out of 5 times or 4 out of the past 5 seasons, he's had that many pressures. And last year in 2021, he had the most snaps in a game in a season recorded by a D lineman. So the stamina on that guy is immeasurable. We all know that. You know, the guy takes care of his body. But the fact that a D lineman can play just however many snaps he did in comparison to the rest of the D linemen in the history of the NFL, you can't have him you can't not have him number 1. I understand what you're saying with Jalen Ramsey holding down the backside, but it's the same as Derrick Henry. You say you don't have Derrick Henry. There's like no other guys. I mean, you have AJ Brown, you had Julio, obviously wasn't a huge factor. The point is, it's the same goes for Derrick Henry as it goes for Aaron Donald. Just because Aaron Donald isn't in the game, Jalen Ramsey's going to cover the backside. If Derrick Henry's not in the game, you got other weapons on that team. So that's why I got Aaron Donald first. Self-explanatory, just like Asher and Sebastian said.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, for me, number 2, I mean, is literally the guy you just mentioned. All 3 of you for number 1. I mean, Aaron Donald, if he's not 1, he's 2. I mean, he is just like you guys were saying, double, triple teams, an immaculate, you know, Hall of Fame talent. That's what he is. At the size that he does it at and the weight that he does it at, nobody ever in history has done it that way. And it's just impressive to watch. And he people were questioning whether or not he could come up in big moments and, be that force, like a Von Miller, win a Super Bowl MVP, stuff like that. And he didn't win the Super Bowl MVP, but I thought he was deserving of it. Honestly, I know Cooper Kupp had that last drive with like 4 catches and the game-winning touchdown, but Aaron Donald sealed the deal. And he basically sealed the deal, 3 years ago when they played the Patriots and they gave up 13 points, but their offense could only muster up 3. So, he's one of those guys that is going to be a legend. And I believe the same about Derrick Henry, just I guess a difference in opinion. So, Asher, who you got at number 2?
At number 2, I have Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt. This could be high compared to some people, but I don't know. I think he's the second best defender, and I guess the second best player overall outside of quarterback. I think he had 22 sacks this year, maybe 22 and a half, which broke the sack record. I think he was first in pressures too. This is also while he plays pretty good coverage as well. Doesn't get as many opportunities as a lot of other players. And I think really having TJ Watt's success after Bud Dupree left too also shows how great TJ Watt is, because there's not really, other than like Cam Hayward, there's not really another force on that defensive line. And Cam Hayward's not, a pass rusher coming off the edge that requires double teams and stuff. So yeah, I have TJ Watt too. He's really just the leader of that great Steelers defense the past couple of years. And I think he'll continue to keep that up, really.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I had a little undervalued going to last season because I was interested to see how he would play without Bud Dupree, and expectations blown out the water. So you guys have anything else to add to that?
Not really. He killed it this year. It's about Asher summed it up basically.
Who's your number 2?
I'll bounce off of it and add to that only because TJ Watt is also my number 2. He was a sack leader in 2020. He was a sack leader this year. Like Asher said, he wasn't first in pressures. It was first in TFLs this year, which you could argue is better. He shows he's a great run stopper, as well as the fact that he's playing edge in a 3-4 defense and drops back into coverage, which is just amazing. He was I don't know. I don't know how you can't put TJ Watt in the top 3. TJ, you said you had him a little lower, undervalued him. I had him 3 last year, 2 this year. Give or take, you could say Aaron Donald sometimes deserves this MVP of Defensive Player of the Year. But either way, in the past 2 years, it's going to bounce back between Aaron Donald and TJ Watt. Yeah. Same thing as Asher said. He's great. And the fact that there's no other even mediocre pass rusher playing alongside of TJ Watt this year shows how he can really dominate in a 3-4 defense while playing coverage and being tied for first in TFLs as a run defender.
Yeah, I think I had him at like 7 last year, or going to last season, 6 or 7, something like that. And yeah, no, significantly higher now for sure. Sebastian, who's your number 2?
So my number 2 is not TJ Watt. My number 2, he's a guy that's in elite company right now, and he goes by the name of Cooper Kupp.
Oh my God! Wow. Okay.
Cooper Kupp, the triple crown.
Right, let me hear this.
He statistically, correct me if I'm wrong, had one of the, if not the best season wide receivers ever had. And if you don't have him in that Rams offense, I don't know if they beat the Bucs in that game where the Bucs come back, because he quite literally carried the Rams right on that final drive. Yeah, he just had an amazing season. He was the definition of an elite route runner. He came out of nowhere this season. But yeah, he's in company with one up. Did you?
Okay.
I drafted him in fantasy for a reason.
Okay.
Like
all
the
right,
6th round or something.
All right.
Whoa, that was nice. That was nice.
But a guy who made a name for himself, to put him in the same sentence as Jerry Rice. He had that great of a season. He's that great of a player. He's got to be number 2.
Can't hate it.
Yeah, I won't hate it. But yeah, 2 is pretty high. 2's pretty high. I don't know. My number 3.
Never get a triple. I don't know.
My number 3 is the guy that you guys just mentioned as well. Stone and Asher, TJ Watt. Being able to do what he did with nobody really alongside him last year, I think proved to me like he is like that type of level defender. And as in an Aaron Donald or Von Miller, he can disrupt games. He can, like you said, play in pass coverage, get, TFLs and play really good run defense, as well as get to the quarterback. And when he gets there, he's not just, pushing him over or anything. He's wrecking the quarterback. I mean, fumbles, everything, right? Tip passes. So yeah, there's not much else to say. I mean, top three, you look at it, I got Derrick Henry, Donald, and TJ Watt. I don't really think there's much dispute there. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Asher,
I'm just gonna build off you because I also had TJ Watt at 3.
Asher, sorry.
Well,
Okay.
I also had TJ Watt at 3. Yeah, basically everything you said. I just want to say, your point about getting to the quarterback, it's crazy with his ability that it does not matter who's behind that center. Because I thought late in the season, damn, he might not get that sack record. He might not tie it because, he's playing Lamar. And, he made work of Lamar. So props to him, man.
That's fair.
Yeah. At number 3, if we're on the third player, right?
Yeah, number 3. Yeah.
For number 3, I have, this guy might be a little high. I don't know. It's tough to rank him, but I've got Trent Williams, offensive tackle for the Niners. Yeah, I mean, I just think he's the best offensive lineman in football, playing a super important position, the blind side, left tackle position, plus what he does in the run game as well. I mean, he's just a beast, just throwing people, pancaking people in the run. How athletic he is at that size is insane. Like, they have him come over, from the left side to the right side in the run game, which is just, insane with his size. So I just think the best offensive lineman in football, playing a premier position. I have him in the top 3.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
I'm going to add to that. I do not have Trent Williams at 3. I have him down my list, but I'm going to put onto it just so I, don't have to say it later. Trent Williams also had the highest rated PFF next to any tackle of all time, next to Joe Thomas and Jonathan Ogden, who are both Hall of Fame tackles. I don't know if TJ, I know last year we were kind of roasting you for putting Bakhtiari in your top 10. Not that Bakhtiari isn't a top 10 player or he's a bad player. I just think Trent Williams made the case this year to actually crack the top 10 for NFL players and non-quarterbacks. He had a 98 PFF rating, highest of all time, and he allowed 23 pressures in 18 games in 1 sack. I mean, you hear those numbers a lot by players like Quentin Nelson, because Quentin Nelson's an elite level guard who also gets help from the center. Being on an island out there with premier pass rushers and Trent Williams is huge. I mean, I don't know how you can't have that guy in the top 10. Asher having him at number 3 is I like the take. I have him down the list, but I just wanted to add to that for Asher because I really like that take.
Well, and when you think about the quarterback too, I mean, he's got to deal with Jimmy G back there, who's not the most mobile, not the smartest,
Also got a tough division too. I mean, he played against Chandler Jones twice.
Yeah.
Chandler Jones on the edge. Granted, the Seahawks don't have a great D-line, and Aaron Donald is an interior defensive lineman, but even playing Chandler Jones 2 times a year is not going to be fun. And Aaron Donald, I mean, he's not going up against him every snap or majority of the snaps because he lines up on the inside on a 3-tech. But still, I mean, Trent Williams is that guy. He's probably the best run blocker we've seen in a long time as a tackle. And he's super underrated in passing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, just being with the 49ers and with Kyle Shanahan, like you were saying, Asher, for him to be able to go from the left side to the right side like he does, I mean, it's something that nobody else can do really in the entire league or really in history. I mean, I'm not like a historian, but it just seems like what he's doing is very unique. So, the stats you said, Stone, he's definitely valued enough to be on this list. And maybe I did make a slight change just right now.
After Asher saying that, I was like, I probably should move Trent up from what I have him now, but I just think there's other players in the league who are more, I don't know, not more dominant. I don't know. Maybe I made a mistake as well.
Yeah, it's based off your opinion. It really is.
It's hard to say because he doesn't carry the ball. He's not sacking the quarterback, but he is protecting the quarterback. It's just hard to say because there's not enough stats, I think, that besides like pressures allowed and sacks allowed. It's hard to like really put into into stats how like what
Yeah.
Trent Williams does. But at
This
number
is-
3, I did have Myles Garrett.
Wow.
That might be
Wow.
underrated. I did have Myles Garrett. I had top 3, all, the best defensive players in the league. I think it's hard not to, especially because Myles, defense wins championships. And what is that Browns defense without Myles Garrett? Granted, they didn't do very well this year. The Browns defense was mediocre and statistically missed the playoffs, but Myles Garrett is just a force to be reckoned with. I don't know where else I would put him if I didn't put him this high. Bless you.
Thank
He
you.
did have 18 sacks, tied for second. And as a Bears fan, I have to respect him because the game against the Browns
Yeah,
versus
he
Bears
wrecked
game,
that
I
game.
believe it was week 3. That was one of the toughest
We
games
don't
I've ever
speak of
had to
that game.
watch. That was probably
Don't
the
speak of
toughest
that
game I've
game.
ever had to watch as a Bears
I
fan,
remember.
besides the Cody Parkey double doink. It was tough. So I put Myles Garrett up high. I don't know what the Browns defense is without him. They got Denzel Ward. They got JOK, who's a really great rookie. They still have Jadeveon Clowney. I think Jadeveon Clowney's great paired with Myles Garrett. But besides that, you take Myles Garrett out of that defense, they're bottom 10 defense in the league for sure.
I just, the only thing that I would counter to that is just like, it seems like TJ Watt did it. TJ Watt carried that Steelers team to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like we haven't seen that yet from Myles Garrett. He has the talent to go up really with anybody in the league defensively. I mean, he might be more talented than TJ Watt. I don't know about pass coverage and stuff, but just as a pure pass rusher, I mean, dude, the guy is a freak. Like, he's a freak. And then going up against, guys like Aaron Donald as well. He has the skills, and he's very smart, and he's very intellectual. And I think he has the drive to get to that next level. I need to see it this year, though. And I think it might bring it out. Deshaun being there, having some life in that organization again, a will to fight, I think will be very interesting to see how much does he wreck. Like, if he could do what he did against the Bears on a weekly basis, and it's not to say that he doesn't, but just to the impact that you guys saw, you know what I mean? You guys vividly remember, like, wow, that game was wrecked by Myles Garrett. Like, if he can do that on a consistent basis and make the Browns relevant, like along with Deshaun Watson and the other great players that they have, he's got to be like one of the top guys on the team. Like, we talk about Aaron Donald and TJ Watt as the best players on their teams, right? And that is Aaron Donald with, Cooper Kupp and with Matthew Stafford and Jalen Ramsey. And that's how great he is. I want to see Garrett get to that next level before I put him in the top 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like it. I also think it's hard to say because Myles Garrett's on the field so much. Aaron Donald is not on the field as much as Myles Garrett is because the Rams have a competent offense, a good offense.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, the Browns just don't stay on the field too long on offense. And so I guess with that, you might say Myles Garrett should have better numbers. He should have, more sacks because he's on the field so much. Also makes a guy tired. He's tired when defense is playing the entire game, and Myles Garrett does not sit. He does not take snaps off like other good like Khalil Mack takes pressure. He takes snaps off. Myles Garrett does not take snaps off. I just think that if the Browns had a better offense, Myles Garrett's numbers might be the same, but I think the outcome of their defense would be a lot better statistically as a whole.
Yeah, no, I agree. We all went through 3, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. 4 then. 4, I've got the best cornerback in the league. And I know that he'll get beat from time to time, but I mean, that's what happens when the rules are, basically made for the wide receivers. You got to have literally the most athletic athlete, if that makes any sense, the most athletic athlete in maybe all the sports, and it's the cornerback with reflexes and agility and jumping and speed. I've got Jalen Ramsey, and he does this all from a significant height advantage that most corners don't have. I mean, he's 6'2", 6'3", and he can go up really with anybody. He is so valuable to that Rams defense. And without him, I mean, they've got really nobody. And that's usually the case with most teams in the NFL. You don't really have a great 1-2 cornerback tandem unless that's like one of your strengths. You know what I mean? So if we're talking like if we threw Jalen Ramsey on any team and then he gets injured or he's not able to play for some reason, that's going to significantly affect the team, especially in a passing league. On defense, we're talking about pass rushers and corners really are the two most important positions. So he's 4 just because of the importance of the position, because he's the best at his position, in my opinion, and just his skill set and how much, like I said, his importance. But what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I'm with it.
I mean, you
I
can
mean,
go, Sebastian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he he had a couple hiccups this season, pass coverage wise, and like you said, he got burned a couple times, maybe burned a couple more times than he has in the past. But I mean, just watching that dude play, it's like watching, a 5-star recruit in a high school football game. This dude is just all over the football field. He's just like bam, bam. He's like he's not in the corner. But
He's a great tackler. Great tackler.
he's insane. And like, I'm gonna bring up another Bears game, but watching the Bears play the Rams, this dude was a fucking menace. Like, we'd run these dumbass wide receiver screenplays all day long, right? And who
Got
was
blown up every time.
making the tackles every goddamn time? It was Jalen Ramsey. Every single time. It didn't matter which side of the field it was. He was there every single time. And it was just frustrating. Frustrating as all hell. So, yeah, he's definitely top 5 for me.
Yeah, I have him a little lower, but I completely agree. I mean, what he does in the run game too, coming up in the run, as you said, the screens. He can hit hard. He can force fumbles. He can just do everything. He flies around the field. He's so fast and big. Came over from an elite Jacksonville defense to LA, makes the Rams elite. Right then, even last year they lose John Johnson, the safety. And Jalen Ramsey is really the only guy in the secondary.
Really? Yeah.
It's still an elite passing defense. So yeah, I have them a little lower, but like, I don't know. It's so hard to rank these players. I can definitely have them higher too.
Yeah, I'm with that. You can make a case for any of these players that we talk about to be number 1 because of how good they are at their position. That's why I think you always have to have Jalen Ramsey in your top 10, no matter what spot you put him in. Like, you have him at 4, TJ, right?
Yeah. 4.
You can't argue whether you have him at 4, you have him at 10. You can't really argue the number in which you put him in, just because, like you said, cornerback is the hardest position to play in the NFL besides quarterback. Mentally, quarterback might be the hardest, but physically, cornerback is for sure with the rules, like you said.
Yeah.
And what you said about being like the best athlete, you nailed it. You got to have all the intangibles to be a good cornerback in the league. And the quarterback position is kind of like an O-line. When an O-line doesn't work, they get blamed for it. And when they do work, no one says anything. It's the same thing with a cornerback. When a cornerback lets up a big play, they get flamed. When they play, they lock down the corner, no one says anything because they expect them to lock down the corner. But that's a lot easier said than done with the receivers nowadays and things like that. So I like Derrick Henry, or excuse me. I thought we were talking about I like Jalen Ramsey at 4 for you. Said. I don't have him at 4, but I like the pick because it's Jalen Ramsey. No matter what the stats say, he'll always, not always, but recently has been the best cornerback we've seen in a while.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just to piggyback off that, you were saying like how I said you have to be the best athlete on the field and maybe in all the sports. And that's just like, that's got to ring true somewhere. Like, when you're saying arguing, rankings of players, it's like, not necessarily like athleticism should be ranked higher than, like, let's say mental skill or whatever, intangibles, but it plays a very big role. And just the way that he impacts defenses, I love it. I love watching him too, like you guys were saying. It's sometimes frustrating if you're on the other team. So yeah. All right. Who's going next for 4?
At 4, I've got Myles Garrett. Just really all the reasons you guys stated. I mean, he's just one of those game-breaking defensive ends, especially when he's on. I mean, he's just unstoppable. Like that Bears game, I saw he had 4.5 sacks in that game, which is just insane. So I think, yeah, I mean, all the reasons you guys said, I have Myles Garrett up there.
Agreed.
Can't hate.
Yeah, so can't hate. But my number 4, I have King Henry. We talked about him a lot, but I will just say he was on pace to have like statistically speaking, he was on pace to have the best season by running back ever, right?
Yeah, I think so. Before
like ever, and then like by like a decent amount too.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe you're
right.
I
mean, I think, and coming into the season, I think a lot of people doubted, kind of saying he was a very one-dimensional player. And I think, the beginning of the season when he was playing, he was showing that he could catch the ball too and make work with it. So next year, if he can stay healthy and show what he can do catching the ball, I mean, I think very, very, very up there to get that number 1 spot.
Well, yeah, I mean, him in the screen game is, imagine him. That's like almost like having you're a guard pulling, you know what I mean? Just add 2 more dudes and he's in space. You know what I mean? That's deadly with his size and speed and everything put together. What do you got, Stone, though, at 4?
At 4, I didn't really know where to put this guy. I put him at 4 just because of how great he can be. I put Derrick Henry. I like when you said Derrick Henry at 1. The only thing I factored into this was the fact that Derrick Henry only played 8 games last year. They were 6-2 before Derrick Henry got injured. Granted, they did beat the Rams after Derrick Henry, but they lost to teams like Houston and New England, who Tennessee should not have lost to.
Yeah, close.
Either way, I think Derrick Henry, if he played the full season, would be maybe everyone's number 1 or 2, except the fact that he didn't play. On top of that, Titans still won without him. The Titans were the 1 seed, and they only lost 4 games after Derrick Henry went out after week 8. So I can't hate on the team because they have other weapons. Ryan Tannehill did not play good in certain games, like the Texans game that they lost in. Did horrible through I think it was 2 or 3 interceptions and lost in that game. But I just think Derrick Henry's not replaceable, but in the Titans situation, he is. If you put Derrick Henry on a mediocre team, that team's going to be great. Except you could put Jonathan Taylor, you put another great running back, you put Joe Mixon. Not that he's a great running back, but you know what I'm saying. You put another elite running back in the league right now in for Derrick Henry in the Titans offense under Mike Vrabel. I still think that they're going to be an elite level team, which they were last year, even with Derrick Henry gone. And it proved that.
All right, 2 points here. I agree that they only lost the same amount of games they lost with Derrick Henry after Derrick Henry, okay, because that's a fact. But the thing is that their defense was playing atrociously better. Way better than they were in the beginning of the season. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers right now. What they scored: 13 points, 23 points, 13 points, 20 points, 13 points, 20 points, 34 against the Dolphins, and 28 against the Texans, which they were trailing the whole game in, and then 16 in the playoffs coming off a bye. There's no big numbers. And I'm looking before Derrick Henry, and they got games of 27, 34, 24, 37, 25, 33. They're scoring the ball at a way higher clip with Derrick Henry. And the second point I want to make is that, yes, you could throw another running back that's, very talented in that offense, and he'll still be very productive. But the physicality that Derrick Henry brings with his body and his skill set and just the will that he imposes on teams, and he gets stronger within game. That's no running back can compare to that in the entire league. And I know Joe Mixon, he's a big boy now, but he is not Derrick Henry. That's just what I have to counter.
I was just saying Joe Mixon as an example because I couldn't think of top running backs. I couldn't think of Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry. I couldn't think of the elite level running backs off the top of my head. But I was giving Joe Mixon as an example because I think that Joe Mixon would have the same success in the Titans offense, except I think Derrick Henry would make a bigger impact on the Bengals team if Derrick Henry was there instead of Joe Mixon.
Well, I like the Joe Mixon comparison because he is kind of the same body, but he's not. You know what I mean?
Just not as big as him, but plays like him.
Yeah, but he plays very much like him, and he has better hands too, which we were talking about. If Derrick gets some of those, this year, maybe, I mean, it's not even going to be a question. I still think he is the best, but he might be far and away the best. You know what I mean? In the league.
I kind of disagree with you, Stone, about being able to throw in any other elite running back in that Titans scheme. I think it's less of how the Titans offense works and how Derrick Henry is as a player. Because it's not hard to game plan for Derrick Henry. You know what he's going to come and do. But the thing is putting that into effect and executing that just because of what TJ was saying, his physicality and his size and his power. You can't teach that. You can't game plan for that.
It's literally just something that's just
I agree.
It's like a fact.
You can have your guys make plays if it's a Joe Mixon or Dalvin Cook back there. But if you have Derrick Henry back there, it's damn near impossible to make a really good, solid play on him. And I think that separates him from the rest of the running backs.
And I agree.
Sorry, do you want to go first?
Oh, no, all I was going to say was I definitely agree with what you're saying because you know what Derrick Henry's going to do. It's just he's going to hit you, and there's nothing you can do about it, except for the fact that I think that running backs are just replaceable in this league. He might be very elite when it comes to his company, except you can replace a running back. Running backs are not, one, they're not hard to come by, and two, they're not really going to win you games. Derrick Henry might be that one guy who does win you games, but you can replace running backs to have you win games. A quarterback is way more important than a running back, and a quarterback receiver duo is way more important than your running back in general. That's why I just think plus he played 8 games. That's why I have Derrick Henry lower, and that's why I think Derrick Henry could be replaced if needed. You see it with running backs all the time. They get replaced because they ask for too much money. They're injury prone, which happened to Derrick Henry this year. I predicted it. I said at the beginning of the year, Derrick Henry will get injured this year, next year, referring to the last year, because he's overused too much. And Derrick Henry is elite like that. But when running backs are so replaceable and like nowadays, I just don't know what to think of it.
I just don't think I could ever associate the word replaceable with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just me,
I
though.
agree, Sebastian. It's just, for me, he's like, I agree to 100% son that running backs are replaceable, but there's like 1 or 2 guys at these replaceable positions that's like, dude, they're not replaceable because they're like one of one. You know what I mean? And the overuse thing too, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
But I also just think he hasn't really ever been significantly injured before this foot injury, if I remember correctly. I don't think he's ever had a big injury like that. On top of, there's been guys in the past that have been used just as much as Derrick Henry and got hit just as much, and they've had elongated careers. I mean, look at Adrian Peterson, for example. I mean, the man's coming off his couch and still rushing for at least 50, 60 yards. You put that with the 17-game season, that's 1,000 yards. So you're telling me Adrian Peterson can come off his couch at age 34 or some shit and still be 1,000-yard rusher in a decent offense? That's the type of level I put Derrick Henry in that same category. He is an all-time great rusher. So moving on, did everyone went through 4 or no? Who else needs to go?
I think we all did.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
All right. 5 for me. Now this guy, I feel like a lot of people don't realize how valuable he is if the Chiefs don't have him, because he doesn't necessarily get injured a whole lot, if at all. But this guy is, I mean, they called him Baby Gronk, Travis Kelce. They call him Baby Gronk when he was coming into the league. He is, I don't want to say the most elusive tight end I've ever seen, but just the way he plays, he's not the fastest. He's not the biggest. He's big, but he's not the biggest. He has really great hands, but he's run after the catch is just uncomparable to any other tight end. He could just slank his way through linebackers that are good, through safeties. He can make plays in the middle of the field, which is so important for that Chiefs offense in particular, because they don't have anybody else to do it. Now they got Juju, who I guess can, is a pretty decent route runner, but they've always been like a track team. And then Travis has been like the heart and soul of like the middle of the field. He's dominated that. And he is, putting up stats to put him in the category of best tight ends ever. So I just think his importance, and the tight end position as a whole is very important, because if you don't have a slot wide receiver and you want to be able to run the ball, which the Chiefs don't do, unfortunately, but if you want to be able to run the ball and hit play action over the middle of the field, tight ends are so valuable, like a George Kittle, you know what I mean? So I love Travis Kelce here. I believe he is top 5, just because, if they didn't have Travis Kelce and it was just before the Tyreek Hill trade, if it was just Tyreek Hill, Demarcus Robinson, McCole Hardman, those types, I mean, are they winning any games really? I mean, their teams can game plan for that pretty easily, just don't let them over the top. It's pretty simple, and make them try and, manipulate the middle of the field. I just don't think that they would be that successful without Travis Kelce.
No, yeah, I agree. I have him a little lower, but you said it best. I think he is the most elusive tight end I've seen after the catch. I mean, just he's so slithery. That Chargers game I always think of, how he just catches the ball, he's going one way to go catch the ball, he sticks his foot in the ground and then spins out of that and then just starts slithering through everyone. I don't get it. It seems like George Kittle should be better after the catch because he's amazing after the catch, but Travis Kelce had more yards after the catch, on average on every reception or whatever. So I have him a little lower. I think he's basically the Cooper Kupp of tight ends with how he works the zones and everything. And the connection he has with Mahomes is amazing. And yeah, they played that coverage that you said, TJ, with if it was just Tyreek Hill and Byron Pringle and McCole Hardman, the two high safety look, don't let him get over the top. And Kelsey was just feasting underneath, finding all the little zones in there. He's been doing that his whole career, and the connection he has with Mahomes is amazing. You probably want him to be a little better blocking in the run game. George Kittle is probably the best at that. But I mean, I just have him a little lower, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Anybody else? Comments? Suggestions?
With it.
I honestly, I'm not with it. I'm not with it.
You're
I
not
just
with it?
like, so 2 seasons ago, I think he's easily top 5, easily top 3 probably. I feel like this season he didn't perform to his expectations as much, which, you know, his bar was, you know, all the way the fuck up there. But, you know, I just think there are other guys in the league that are a little bit more deserving of these higher spots than Travis Kelsey. And I'm just gonna leave it at that.
All right.
That's why, yeah, I have him like 10th. So
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I don't even have him ranked. I should, but I think there's just too many people to put. I had Kelsey 4 last year. He had an amazing season in 2020. Unbelievable season in 2020. What you said, I think it's gonna be interesting. I think Kelsey may prove me wrong as well as you, Sebastian. I think he's gonna prove TJ right in the fact that, especially now without Tyreek Hill, he's gonna get more attention to him, and he's gonna see Juju's gonna fluster. And the other receivers on the Kansas City Chiefs are going to do better because they're going to be more focused towards Travis Kelsey. Now, Travis Kelsey is, again, one of those players, like you said, Derrick Henry. It doesn't matter if you know what's coming. He's just going to hit you anyway, even if
Oh, yeah,
you
for
know what's
sure.
coming. I mean, you saw the final drive in the Kansas City
Bills.
Baltimore game.
Oh,
Yeah. No, excuse me. Yes, Kansas City and Buffalo game where when Kelsey was talking in the press conference after, talking about him and Mahomes just knew with the Devontae Adams Rodgers thing, they knew what was happening, and they said, fuck you, Andy Reid, I'm gonna do my thing because I know what's about to hit him. Said, Tyreek, go run a fly. I'm gonna run 5-yard little posts in the middle of the field. You can't stop that, and that's the IQ on Travis Kelsey is so goddamn high. It's hard to not put him in your top 5. Granted, even top 10. I don't have him on top 10 just because I guess I'm disrespecting him a little bit. I just value some other players at other positions a little bit more, but cannot hate on Travis Kelsey being at number 5. That's a good take.
For me, is just like, tight ends are so hard to come by, like that are elites. And, for mostly for younger quarterbacks, but even as older quarterbacks, I mean, Tom Brady went to Florida and he called Gronk and was like, hey, safety blanket, come down here with me. You know what I mean? Like, they're a quarterback's best friend. And I don't want to say they're more valuable than wide receiver, but I mean, with the blocking aspect in the run game, and I know Kelsey isn't the greatest run blocker, but he can block. And if the Chiefs decide to run the ball, like I said, maybe he can show that. But I think they're a lot more valuable than I guess people give them credit for. So who do you guys have at 5?
For me at 5, I've got the best receiver in the league. TJ probably knows what I'm talking about. Jamar Chase. I think he's the best receiver in the league. I think he can do everything. He can take a screen 70 yards to the house like he did against the Titans. Or he can break out of like a tackle and run the whole way against the Ravens like he did. You can just throw the ball up to him. Like in that Chiefs game, he was just mossing everyone on the Chiefs. Burrow had to throw it to the sideline every time to either him or Higgins. And usually it was Jamar Chase, and he was just mossing everyone. I think he's probably top 3, maybe even top 2 fastest like wide receivers, like good wide receivers in the league, maybe behind Tyreek Hill. I mean, I just think you go from a 4-12 team last year, you make like really one change on the offensive side of the ball, which is bringing in Jamar Chase. And all of a sudden that offense is amazing and the team is amazing. And you go from 4-12 to the Super Bowl. I think a lot of it had to do with Jamar Chase.
I'll give you credit. I did like Jamar a lot last year and what he brought to the table for the Bengals offense. But the thing is that before Joe tore his knee up, he was still making do with those guys because it's not like they didn't have anybody besides Jamar. Like you said, T. Higgins. I'm blanking on
Boyd.
the other guy. Yeah, Tyler Boyd. And they had the Uzama guy who kind of came out of his shell this year. You know what I mean? So they had guys and Mixon as well, and their offense was still pretty good. As a Joe Burrow rookie, their offense was good, and then boom, got injured, and then the season was shit, right? So that contributes a little bit to that 4-12, but he did bring a different dynamic to that offense. And, he's a great route runner. He has speed. He has the jump ball ability. He kind of reminds me of like an Odell, like a young Odell, if that makes sense. Like New York Odell, can do everything, and he's not super tall, both from LSU. I don't know. I had him on my list and I switched it when we were talking about Trent Williams, just because I think there's other wide receivers that are not necessarily more valuable because they've been able to take Jamar out of games. You know what I mean? To a degree. And Burrow still succeeded with having 100-yard, receivers like a T. Higgins or like a Tyler Boyd that can step up in the moment. And if they didn't have Jamar, I feel like they would still be a very, very good offense. They wouldn't be the offense that they are, but it's like icing on the cake. It's not a part of the cake for me.
I don't know. I feel like he's the engine that gets T. Higgins. T. Higgins didn't have a great rookie year last year until Jamar Chase came. I know that's unfair, like to say T. Higgins didn't have a good rookie year as if you're supposed to have a good year as a rookie. But I think it freed up more stuff for Tyler Boyd. Like, I don't know, especially towards the end of the season when Burrow was having those like 400, 500-yard games. I mean, that was Jamar Chase really taking over, I thought.
Yeah, he does have that factor, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
That's just the hottest take I've heard in a while.
I know.
But I like it. I like it. It's just, I don't know how you can over Cooper Kupp. I don't know how you could put him over Davante Adams. And you said he's like great after the catch, might be the best. I still don't know. He's not. I think Tyreek Hill is still the greatest after the catch. I don't know. I think because he had such a great season and the winning, it definitely attributes to why you could validate him for being a top 10 player in the NFL besides quarterback, for sure. The numbers prove it. The winning proves it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things. I think it's replaceable. Like you put arguably the greatest receiver in the league right now, up until this year. So let's just say Davante Adams, despite what Cooper Kupp did this year, let's say from last year, put Cooper Kupp in Jamar Chase's shoes this year. I think Davante Adams has a better season, if not, I think he has the same or if not better season. I don't think he's as talented as a lot of other guys in the league. And while he did great, he also is Joe Burrow, who proved to be a great quarterback this year. And there's other weapons on that Bengals team that I think freed up Jamar Chase. And what TJ said, he got locked down a couple times, not often, but a couple times. And players like Davante Adams and D-Hop, when he's healthy, don't get locked down.
I can see that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Davante's got Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. So, and I feel like that's a lot to do with, we'll see what, I'm really excited to see what Davante does in Oakland, just to see what he does away from Aaron Rodgers, because I feel like a lot of Davante's success is due to Aaron Rodgers throwing a perfect pass every single time to Davante, who is not, I mean, I think Chase is faster.
Man.
He's better. Chase is better.
Chase is a rookie. Give him slack.
Chase is better after the catch. I mean, he's built like a running back, and I feel like Jamar Chase is like, this is kind of like the new wave of wide receivers. I feel like coming into the NFL is like the 6'1", 6'2" guys who can kind of just do it all, like DJ Moore, Deebo Samuel, Garrett Wilson coming in the draft this year. Like, I feel like that's kind of the new age of wide receivers. Just the fast guys who can like literally just do it all, even in the run game too.
Interesting.
I just don't know about 5, bro.
I don't even know about top 10.
Like, I'll give you credit. You definitely made your case, bro. I am not discrediting that. It's a good case, but
it's a good case. I think there's someone else in the league that everything you've talked about, Asher, does everything better than Jamar. And he's on my list, and I'll talk about it when I get there, but that's my piece.
I just think,
we'll see.
Or maybe
Jamar has that boom.
Winner.
Jamar has that boom effect, like Tyreek Hill, like down the field. Like that's what Cincy kind of did. They pushed the ball down the field hella, right? That was their identity. They couldn't do it in the Super Bowl, and they tried in the second half, and it blew up on them, right? I don't know if Davante has like necessarily that boom like, big shot playability like those guys because he doesn't have the speed. But honestly, you don't need to have that, I feel like, to be the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Oh no,
Because like you said, you
I
can
think
pick
he's
up a
got
guy like MVS if you're Kansas City, and he'll do the same shit. He'll still attract a guy over the top. Tyreek, that they're gonna probably give less attention to MVS, but they're still gonna have guys coming over the top, right? Once in a while, just to make sure they're okay. Because he's got 4.3 speed at 6'5". I mean, but Tyreek Hill is so much better, right? So like, why are they attracting the same attention? How much impact do they really have to the team and winning? I don't know. That's just what I had to say. So anybody else? Fives. Let me hear it, Stone.
Yeah, I got Cooper Kupp.
Okay.
I think Cooper Kupp is everything Jamar Chase is, but better. Maybe not after the catch. The one knock, I only have Cooper Kupp at 5 because I have one knock on him, and I've said that for a lot of players. It's that they're not super stand out at their position in comparison to other players talent wise. The reason why I think players like Aaron Donald, TJ Watt, and Myles Garrett are elite of the elite in the NFL is because they stand out so much more than any other player at that position. You cannot name a player that's remotely close to Aaron Donald at his position in what he does. Thing is with Cooper Kupp is there are tons of receivers in the league that can do what he does in the right situation. Devontae Adams last year, not knocking his triple crown, but Cooper Kupp's also in probably the most dynamic offense in the league with Sean McVay. Sean McVay's, you can argue, is the greatest offensive mind in the league right now. And they also have other weapons on their team. You take away the other weapons that the Rams have, such as Robert Woods was injured all year, but OBJ, you're not hating on Van Jefferson, but and Higbee too. Like, I just think if you take away Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods played last year a lot, that team would be really good. I think the team would still be really good. I think that team is still a Super Bowl contender team without Cooper Kupp. And granted, Cooper Kupp is not, the fastest guy. He's a great route runner, but he's not, super talented athletically. He's got great IQ, and that's what makes him so good. And I just think he's replaceable by other receivers. When I say replaceable, I'm not saying he should be replaced. I'm not saying that they should, give up on his contract and trade him, whatever. I'm saying that
Green Bay.
I'm saying that if you took Devontae Adams, you took Jamar. I'll say Jamar Chase because you might you love Jamar Chase. D-Hop, a healthy D-Hop. Players like that, you put them in the Cooper Kupp role with Sean McVay's offense and Matthew Stafford. I still think they put up great numbers like Cooper Kupp did, which is why I have to knock him down to 5, despite what a historic season he had.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say one thing before you go, Sebastian, about Cooper Kupp. And like you said, Stone, he doesn't like stand out. He's more of an IQ guy. And knowing the game and knowing the system that you're running or you're working within, that plays to the IQ, right? If Sean McVay calls a play and when to shut down a route or what option route to do, that's IQ. But where does the IQ come from if the system's not in place? I'm not saying they don't know football, but I'm saying they're not put in the position to have that IQ be utilized if they don't have a great, like you said, arguably the best offensive mind in the NFL. If he doesn't have those opportunities and those options to be on the same level with the quarterback and be like, hey, I can break this out here, I can break it over the middle here. Like, it's going to be based on whatever they give us. There's certain offenses where you might throw a guy like Cooper Kupp in, and it's very more simplistic and kind of like, this is what we're doing. And I don't know if he's that effective just because he doesn't have the talented ability, the standout of talent ability. He has great hands and he's clutch. That is something that is hard to label, but he's clutch. He comes up when you need him to. And I don't know. I didn't put him on my top 10 just because of that. Because it's like you said, you could throw anybody in there.
That is outrageous.
Wow. I didn't think they could put up
that is absurd.
You put Devontae Adams in that offense, he's got around the same numbers.
Is he getting a triple?
Receiver?
Yeah, the triple crown.
Hey, Jamar.
When's the last time a non-quarterback has won Super Bowl MVP? Was it Ray Lewis?
No.
Probably Von Miller.
Von Miller.
Super Bowl MVP? Von Miller.
The Seahawks won. The Seahawks linebacker that won.
Von won it.
Oh, Von did?
15. Yeah, that was 15. Because Foles and Brady and
did
yeah.
Malcolm? No,
I'll
Malcolm
shut up
Butler.
then. I'll shut up.
No.
That was 14 though. That was before Vaughn. So yeah, Vaughn was the last guy to do that. So yeah, I don't know. And it's no disrespect to Cooper Kupp. I just think he is the perfect, like, not the perfect fit, but like his abilities match perfect with his situation in LA.
So you think he's very
working
much
with he's working with the
very
smartest minds.
a very much system player is what you're saying, basically.
It's only
I
had
think
1
He
year.
needs the system is basically
Well, I'm not saying it's just a system because he's, like I said, he's talented, he's clutch. He's not some
well, no, because I
bum,
agree.
right?
Because if you throw him in like on the Texans team, they run a very simple offense, and I don't think Cooper Kupp does anything near what he did this year
Yeah,
on like a Texans offense or
Yeah,
line.
but so would not many receivers wouldn't do anything on the Texans. It's
Okay,
like put him in a scheme like the Bengals though. Like
Devontae
what
Adams
Asher
on
said.
the Texans, he will still have a great season.
that's a bad example. Listen, what if you throw Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp? So you have the pairing on the Texans. Are they as good as and productive as they were this year? Probably not.
They're
That's all I got to say.
Not a triple crown winner, I don't think.
That's all I got to say. And that's why I give the credit to Sean McVay because, dude, everybody that comes there, and this is like a culture thing too with LA, they love playing there. The culture is amazing. Sean McVay is an engaging coach. He wants guys to get involved. He knows how to make them happy. And it's just like, he's just such a people person. Like he knows how to, get the best out of everybody. And that's what he did with Cooper Kupp, I believe, because he was in the league for the past 5 years. I mean, where was Cooper Kupp then?
Right.
And it wasn't
That's-
until Matthew
Okay, but
Stafford could
that
throw the
doesn't
ball down
matter.
the field, he started getting to this level. And I don't want to.
He made an achievement only the GOAT wide receiver has made. There's two people. It's him,
Yeah.
Jay Rice, and Cooper Kupp. And he did that this season. Forget about the 4 seasons before that. He did that
No,
this
Steve
season.
Smith did it too. Steve Smith
No,
on
he
the
didn't.
Panthers. It was them three. So
He got a triple crown.
Did he?
that's the
Steve
only
Smith.
God, I'm
three.
an idiot.
Jerry, Steve Smith, and Cooper Kupp. Those are the only three that ever do it.
All right. But still, that's not enough to get him into your top 10.
Yeah, I think not having top 10 is kind of weird, Teach.
I mean, listen, I didn't have Devontae in my top 10 last year, and frankly,
True.
he barely made it this year. So
I have a question for Asher because he's
Yeah.
high on Jamar Chase. One here. If Cooper Kupp was in Jamar Chase's position this year on the Bengals, who would have had a better season? Like I'm saying, replace Jamar. Don't put Jamar Chase on the Rams, but put Cooper Kupp on the Bengals this year instead of Jamar Chase. Would Cooper Kupp have better or worse stats than Jamar Chase this year on the Bengals?
It'd be worse, I think.
I think the same thing.
And I think,
agree.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think there's a couple receivers like that where it's like, if you put Cooper Kupp on the Niners instead of Deebo Samuel, I don't think he does what Deebo does. But I still have Cooper Kupp top 10. Like I think he's still amazing, and he did have a 1,000-yard season, 10 touchdown season with Jared Goff. So I mean, he was
is that top 10 worthy? Is that top?
well,
10
no,
worthy?
I'm
That's
just
a
saying
dime a
he was.
dozen nowadays.
You're acting like he just came out of nowhere in the 5th year. Like he was. I mean, I've heard of him since like he came in the league, and he was good his rookie season. He's good really every season. And this was just an insane breakout season with an actual good quarterback.
I loved him coming out of the draft. I actually wanted the Packers to go and get him because I liked it. I liked what he did and the way he looked and just kind of like it felt like an Aaron Rodgers type dude, like a Julian Edelman type. You know what I mean? I felt like that could have been great for the Packers, but I'm just saying he came out on the scene as in like he's not doing this every year. You know what I mean? And is he going to do it next year? Odds are probably not. Like, I mean, this is a historic one-off season, in my opinion. And that's not to say that he's not a top 5 wide receiver or top 10, whatever. I would have to really go down and make that list to be for sure. But talent-wise, that's just why, I have him not on the list. So, Sebastian, who's your 5?
Jalen Ramsey. I mean, we already touched on it a lot. That's why I got Jalen.
Yeah, no, amazing player, no doubt. For 6 for me, first wide receiver off the board for my list. I just think this dude, I mean, he was injured a little bit last year and you saw how much the offense fell apart. Is it a problem of the coach or the quarterback? Maybe, but he also did play with so many damn quarterbacks when he was in Houston. And I'm talking about DeAndre Hopkins. D-Hop is, he can do everything. He's 6'4"-ish, right? Go up and get jump balls, got some of the best hands in the league. Very, very, very good route runner. Not the best, but very good. And And then, just what he adds as far as what teams have to game plan for and try to stop him, and the amount of, help he gives to quarterbacks. You saw the numerous amount of quarterbacks that he dealt with in Houston. And when he was playing with Deshaun Watson, how great he was. And then he leaves and, the Texans lost some other players or, got injured, and they had a 4-12 season. So he gets injured this year. The Cardinals go from, 7-1, number one in the NFC to, the dumpster. Or not the dumpster, but, they don't win their division. They start losing all these games, right? I just think that his impact on an offense is above any other wide receiver in the league. And I think it's just because his skill set is so dynamic. I don't want to say it's the best skill set, but I think it's just one that you could pair with literally anybody and it will work. Like in the case of like a Devontae Adams, I don't know if he can't go up and get the ball like D-Hop can. Same amount of hands. I would say their hands are pretty equal. Route running, I would give it to Devontae, but it's like, just if you can't get the ball to the guy who's wide open, for example, it doesn't matter then that he's wide open. But if you have the opportunity to win 50-50 balls with a bad quarterback who can't put it where it's supposed to be, that I value that over route running. Just slightly in this case. I do like route runners. Believe that. What do you guys have to say? Nothing? No comments?
I mean, I don't know. DeAndre Hopkins is like a tough one for me. Like, he's amazing still, but I wouldn't say he's the most like valuable receiver, like you said. Like I'm still taking Jamar Chase over, like value wise, Jamar Chase. I mean, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, as we were saying, Tyreek Hill, as like how he changes an offense or the game plan the defense has to come up with. I think there's like 5 or 6 wide receivers now that are ahead of DeAndre Hopkins.
No, man. Last week we clipped the Devontae top 7. Don't make
I know it. I don't.
D-Hop top 6. What, dude?
I don't know, bro. I don't. I mean, I don't know about DeAndre Hopkins. Like I don't know where to put him right now because I don't know, dude. Like you said, I mean, he's not like the fastest or whatever. I don't know. I need to like look more into DeAndre. I don't know. What do you guys have to say about this?
I like the take personally.
Whose take?
Your take.
Thank
Teach.
God.
I think it's just hard to put him. I don't think you can put him in the top 10. I don't even have him in the top 20, but it's also hard to rate where he would be when he's healthy, or not when he's healthy, but when he's like playing. It's the same thing for me with Christian McCaffrey. I can't put Christian McCaffrey in this list, even though I want to, even though he's an elite level running back and changes the game so much for the Panthers. How can you put him on the list when he's been injured like 2 years in a row? It's the same thing with D-Hop. D-Hop played very few games. It was extremely frustrating to have him fantasy this year because he said he was going to be back the next week and was out like 3 more weeks after with his foot injury. I don't know how you can rate him in the top 10 when he didn't play very much this season. When he played, he was great, and he also didn't get that many receptions. Granted, that's maybe because maybe that's because they were so focused on him. They got the ball to Christian Kirk so much. Shout out to Christian Kirk. He got that entire contract due to D-Hop being covered. Due to D-Hop being covered, Christian Kirk had a good year, but I don't know. He didn't play enough for me to put him in the top 10. It's the same with Christian McCaffrey. So maybe next year he'll go off. I can put him back, but I do disagree with you, Asher, that I don't even think there's 5 better receivers than D-Hop in the league. And I cannot, despite what Jamar Chase did this year, cannot put Jamar Chase over D-Hop. I don't care. It's like putting Najee Harris over Christian McCaffrey, even though Christian McCaffrey didn't play this year. It's like, okay, well, Najee got the stats obviously because he played, but who are we to argue that Najee Harris is not better than Christian McCaffrey and is not that big of a game changer in comparison to him?
We need more pavement. We need more road to, check along Jamar and just see how he progresses.
It could be some like recency bias stuff, I know. But I don't know. I mean, I like 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns for Jamar. And really just like I don't know. I just felt like he was the scariest like wide receiver last year.
Can I ask you one question, Asher?
Like, yeah.
How many picks would it have to give up, right? Would the Broncos have to give up for Jamar to go there? And how happy would that make you be?
Like if the Broncos were to trade for him,
Yeah. if they
what I
just,
would
like-
give up for him.
Yeah, what would you give up for Jamar Chase?
I mean, considering so Devontae got what, a first and a second? Is that what he got? Tyreek got a first and a second, a late first. So I guess like with the way those guys have
Three
been
other
treated-
picks too for Tyreek.
What?
They got 5 picks total for Tyreek.
Yeah, I know, but it was like a late first is like the most important one. I guess I would say like I don't know. I mean, I would trade 2 first-round picks and a second and maybe some other ones later on.
Whoa. Throwing some
You already
value
got
there.
Jerry Judy. You got Cortland
I-
Sutton. They got young receivers.
Okay, well, yeah, okay. I was just thinking that as just like okay. If I'm a Broncos
okay,
fan, we
fair enough.
don't need no, you don't need to trade for Tyreek Hill or Jamar Chase. But like if my team had no wide receivers, I would trade 2 firsts for Jamar
That's
Chase.
fair. That's fair.
I'm glad you didn't go into the 4-5 range.
4 first. I was tempted maybe like 3 if I'm like the Texans or something.
Dude, I just can't. I can't do that
3
much,
not. I
dude.
wouldn't do 3. I would do 2 firsts. for
There's just
Jamar.
too many other guys that come out every year. I mean,
Yeah.
Justin
that-
Jefferson is literally like almost Jamar Chase. He's like basically Jamar Chase.
CeeDee Lamb's good too in that one draft class. Like the draft class last year was good, and receivers come every
I mean,
single year.
it feels like every single draft class is stacked at receivers. So
I'm excited for
Yeah.
Olave, man. You've been getting me on the Olave.
Facts.
train, Asher.
Justin Fields and
Olave.
Olave.
No. Aaron Rodgers and Olave.
No.
Yeah, new
don't get it
Devontae. New
twisted.
Devontae.
Bro,
Don't get
Stone,
it
we don't
twisted.
need more Ohio State kids on our team. Don't need more.
don't need more.
We don't need more Ohio State
Oh,
kids.
you
on
definitely
our
do
team.
need
Don't
more.
get it twisted. Chris Olave wants to be a Bear. Don't.
Yeah, he won't mind getting thrown the ball from Aaron Rodgers, I think, over Justin Fields. I think he'd actually prefer that. I don't know though.
It's so if he gets drafted in the first round, but I forgot the Packers don't even have an owner, so probably no
You're
change is gonna
speaking
happen.
to him. One of
Packers
the
might draft it
1,000
at this
actually.
point.
Sorry, Teej. Forgot you were an owner.
It's okay. It's all right. I'll forgive you guys now. It's just
All right.
going forward. Just refer to me as Green Bay Packers owner TJ Hayes, please. All right, who's your guys' 6?
For 6, I have Jalen Ramsey. I don't think we need to talk about that, but yeah.
Jalen, excellent
With
player.
it, everyone's got Jalen. I
No,
don't
I
know
got-
if this name's been said. Oh, go ahead, Bass.
Wait, who'd you have at 6, Don?
It's Devontae Adams.
Okay.
Did anyone say Devontae Adams? I missed a little bit of the early. No, okay. I had Devontae Adams. I had him under Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp at 5. D Adams at 6. Still don't know how you can't put Devontae Adams in like the top 10. I know, Mr. Asher over here still thinks that Jamar Chase is gonna be the greatest receiver of all time. He's already better than Cooper Kupp, a Triple Crown winner, and Devontae Adams, who had like a 1,700-yard season last year. But Devontae Adams at 6. I think he's gonna be a little higher at the end of the season, despite the fact that Aaron Rodgers is extremely, is just on a completely different level than Derek Carr. I think Devontae Adams will flourish more in the Raiders' offense simply because they have Darren Waller, they have Hunter Renfrow, and they have a couple, they got Zay Jones, Brian Edwards, whatever, but they also have a good run game. I just think
Jacobs.
Devontae Adams is going to flourish. Maybe they have the same stats as in 2020. I think he had 1,700 yards, over 1,700 yards in 2020. I think he'll have similar stats. Don't put him over Cooper Kupp, because Cooper Kupp is the Triple Crown winner. But if you don't have Devontae Adams above Jamar Chase, then you don't know football. I didn't mean that.
Whoa!
Yeah, I didn't mean that.
Whoa! Shots
Damn.
fired, man. Come on,
I
man.
didn't
Let's
mean
keep
That's
this
tough.
PG,
Hey,
I'm
man.
just- Look, the Packers, when Devontae's hurt, since he's been drafted, 11 games, and they're 10-1.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
I
the
mean,
most
if that's-
concerning thing. That's why I didn't have him on my list last year.
Well,
That's why.
Could just be Rodgers. Like you're also
Yeah,
that's
that's what I'm
despite the
saying.
fact of him having Rodgers, but you do the same stats with you take Cooper Kupp or you take Jamar Chase out of the game, I still think they're gonna have similar, wins. And the teams are all good.
That's why
The
D
three
Hop
teams,
is
the three
six.
teams, the Rams and the Bengals, in refers to Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase. But you said a 10-1 stat. You forget that the Packers. Is that was not just this year? That's been how many
No,
years?
that's just
Past
his
3
rookie year.
years
That's since 2015.
14.
since 2015. Okay, well,
Yeah.
they've had Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and I mean, granted, they had Mike McCarthy, who's not a great coach, but the past 2 years they LaFleur, and he's a great head coach too. I don't know. The 10-1 stat without Devontae Adams, I think, is kind of BS because he makes that team so much better on tape, and you can see it. So
Well, it's just they have to game plan against him. But I think the stat is a little skewed just because until about like 2-3 years ago, I mean, we still had Jordy Nelson, right? That was Aaron's number one dude. And then Devontae took that over. Randall was still there. He was a solid 2, great slot wide receiver. So we had other guys, to compensate if Devontae wasn't there. The
All right,
last
well,
couple
since-
years,
Since 2019, they're 7-0.
Okay, so see that's perfect then. All right, so that's a little bit more refined. That's why I mean, I can't put him like. I know he's so talented and he's great in all facets, but his importance, and like you said, it might just be because they have Aaron Rodgers.
they have a great head coach.
But I don't know. Devontae is still very valuable. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, they have Aaron Rodgers, and that's why I think a lot of Devontae Adams' stats and greatness and everything is because of Aaron Rodgers. Like,
I
You
still
can
think
make the
he's
argument with
productive.
any receiver.
I think, well, any great quarterback will make any average or above average or even great wide receiver. They're all going to make them better. That's what quarterbacks do. But Devontae will still be very good with the Raiders.
yeah, he will. I know.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. He's a top 7 receiver in the league.
Okay, but you're making that argument that Devontae Adams, the Packers are 7-0 without him because of Aaron Rodgers. I'm gonna keep bringing up Jamar Chase. I would bring up another guy, but Jamar Chase is your guy, so I'm gonna keep bringing up Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
I think it's just like you can't make that comparison. Jamar Chase is a great quarterback, and Joe Burrow. Like, granted, it's his second year, this year, and it was, this previous year was the second year, and he did great, and we don't really know how that's going to continue. But Joe Burrow had an amazing year this year. It was PFF rated 5, overall player in the league, above any other quarterback. I mean, Joe Burrow did great, and it's like you say like the Packers, are still good without Devontae Adams because they have Rodgers, and you could say the same thing next year when the Raiders don't have Devontae Adams. If Devontae Adams takes a game or two off due to injury, whatever, you could say, oh, they already have Waller, they have Hunter Renfrow, like Josh Jacobs, Derek Carr's good. You can keep making that argument, but if you make that argument, you got to make it for every receiver, even Jamar Chase. He's got Joe Burrow.
I think
It's not like Devontae Adams is playing on the Texans or on the Jaguars or the Lions, and he's putting up these numbers because then
I think
he would undoubtedly be the best receiver ever.
All right, here's another receiver. That's basically Jamar Chase. It's like DJ Moore, and he had 1,200 yards with Sam Darnold and like Kyle Allen and Cam Newton throwing to him this past couple of years. He's had 1,200 yards pretty much in like 3 straight years. So like, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty much Jamar Chase without a quarterback. Like, I feel like Devontae really requires like a precision passer at quarterback that just gets the ball in the perfect spots every time. Like, I feel like so many of these Devontae catches are just perfect over the shoulder balls down
That's
the
just
sideline.
Packers hate, bro. That's just Packers hate, bro. I've
Do
always
you think it's
gone
this?
against
That's like
I've
the
always
same
gone
argument
against
as
Asher on that because there's been so many plays I've watched as a Packers fan. The defender's not within like 4 yards, 5 yards of Devontae, and it's not because of Aaron Rodgers. It's strictly because he just literally like the quick slants that they ran every year that literally everybody knows is coming every single game. The corners still couldn't stay with them. And granted, yeah, if it's a little bit behind, he's not going to get 5 yards racked. Maybe he gets tackled. But since it is Aaron Rodgers, it's put where it's supposed to be. So I guess maybe the stats are a little
There's just some plays, especially with those slants. I just feel like there's just some plays where it's like, if that's Jamar Chase catching the ball, he's gone. It's not 10 more yards for a first down like Devontae. It's a touchdown. Like, and I feel like that
That's
just
the
separates.
factor he has. He has the boom factor. That's what we were talking
Mhm.
about. I mean, there's just a lot of wide receivers you could say, like, okay, if they had a slant with 4 yards space off the defender, I mean, I could probably list 20 dudes that run 4-3, 4-4 that could do the same thing. But the fact is they got to get open. And Jamar is a very skilled route runner. So I'm not trying to, like, disparage on him or anything. Like, he's got the talent to do that. I just don't know if I would still put him over Devontae at this moment in time.
That's fair. We'll see.
Number
We'll see.
six.
That's why
Number
I'm
6,
with
Sebastian. Let me hear.
Miles Garrett. We've already talked about him a lot. So
Low too low, in my opinion.
you think so? I think he came out of the gates insane this season. And I think around halfway he slowed down a little bit. Not a
Wait,
lot.
who did you say?
Miles Garrett.
Oh, okay.
I think he slowed down a little bit towards the end of the season, which kind of knocked him down in my rankings a little bit. But I mean, kind of like you were saying earlier, Stone, like 4, 5, and 6 are basically like 4A, 4B, and 4C. It's just the only reason why I have him lower than like Jalen Ramsey or Derrick Henry is just because he slowed down a little bit. But
Okay. All right. 7 for me. And I moved this guy up because of you guys, really. I did have an offensive lineman last year, was David Bakhtiari, but I mean, he missed the whole damn season. We still went 13-4. It did prove crucial when we lost against the 49ers that, when he wasn't playing, they were able to get to Aaron and they were trying to force the ball out quick. And since Devontae was getting quadruple teamed and we literally have nobody else, well, it didn't bode well, especially in the snow. So I've got Trent Williams at number 7. And, mostly just because, what you guys were explaining earlier, and he is considered, arguably, if not the best left tackle as far as pass protector in the NFL, but he's also a great run blocker and he can move because he's so athletic. And just, what he means to that 49ers team. I mean, with the way that they run the ball, with the way that they move guys around and, create motion and just the schemes that they have. Shout out to Kyle Shanahan. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch. Frustrating, as a Packers fan, the fact that they keep running it up on us for the past 3 years, but it is what it is. So that's my number 7. Who you guys got?
I also got Trent Williams. I mean, talked about him a lot. He's a cornerstone for that 49ers offense. As accurate as Jimmy G is, I'm not sure he's even close to that level without Trent Williams, to be honest with you. I think a lot of his success comes from Trent Williams, and he makes Jimmy G a serviceable quarterback.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
could
2
see
cents.
that. I mean, he has more time because of him. It's a unit, but at the same time, it's the most important position on the unit. So, Stone.
7. I got Jalen Ramsey. Not going to beat a dead horse because we already talked about him. But
All right.
7 for me.
All right, moving on. Number 8 for me is Miles
Whoa,
Garrett.
Whoa.
My bad. Sorry, Asher. I skipped you, man.
I haven't said that this could be another hot take, but I don't think it is. 7, I have Debo Samuel, because I think that's just like that is the Niners offense is him. I mean, he had a great receiving season, and then halfway through the season, Kyle Shanahan's like, fuck it, let's put him at running back, and he's one of the best running backs in the league. Averaging 6 yards a carry when he does run it. And I just think
it's hard to game plan for
the
him.
Niners offense. He took over that Cowboys game with his running. I mean, he's another one of those guys where you just get him the ball and he'll make something happen if he sees 1 inch of daylight, and he can be gone in the end zone. He's just so hard to bring down, and he's fast. And he proved himself to be a great receiver this year, which he hadn't done in years past. So.
Yeah, no, I like Debo. 7, maybe a little too high, but his importance to that offense, like you said, is crucial. And like you said, the Cowboys game, he came up big. The Packers game, I think it was 3rd and 7, and he runs the ball and gets a first down. And I was like, really? Like we know it's coming. He's literally shotgun with Jimmy G. He's probably going to get some sort of zone. And he did it. I mean, so he's just dependable. And having that dual threat, I think definitely makes him a weapon that, is very unique, kind of like Cordell Patterson had this last year as well. Just kind of, it's hard to tell, we're trying to compare him to guys that are already, established, and And it's like we've got one season under our belt, the Jamar Chase argument, the Debo argument that we have now. I mean, it's just hard to say 4 or 5 years down the road, are they going to be able to keep up, this level of production, or will teams adjust? You know what I mean? But what do you guys think?
I like the take a lot, actually. And that was the guy I was referring to earlier about Jamar Chase. I think Debo, I'm pretty sure he had the most touches in the league this year, right?
He
Pretty
may have.
sure.
He might have.
Like
Yeah,
total.
But
Sounds
That's like
right.
150 touches. Yeah.
yeah, he had 1,400 yards receiving, 14 touchdowns, 1,800 all-purpose yards. I mean, dude was a monster. And, basically like Asher was saying, the 49ers offense runs through him. And a lot of these counter arguments for these receivers ranked higher, or these other weapons they have surrounding him, like Jamar with T and Tyler and Kupp with OBJ, Robert Woods, Higbee. But the thing about this 49ers offense is that, they don't have a great solid running back. George Kittle hasn't been doing George Kittle things for a while. And then
He was hurt a couple games.
Yeah, he was hurt, but I mean, when he was playing, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Sucks to say, but he wasn't doing a whole lot. But yeah, and then their next best option is Brandon Ayuk. So I mean, that dude single-handedly carried their offense this year, in my opinion, and he did it to an insane level. And it was kind of like the same thing about Derrick Henry, where the ball is going through this guy, and it's just so hard to like execute that game plan that you have, just because of how shifty he is, and he's got some big legs too, man. He's run over a couple dudes, but
Yeah, no, he's physical, like you said, like Asher said
dude.
too. Yeah.
But yeah, but kind of what you were saying about Cordell. I don't know how many other players have like been in that type of weird flex wide receiver running back position.
Shout out Ty Montgomery, the OG, number 88 in the backfield.
He was
not nearly as good, but he was
of either one of those players that you just mentioned.
But yeah, I mean, when we talk about like, this might be a reach, but when we talk about like, evolutionary players of the game, like Patrick Mahomes, I think Debo is like taking this weird position he has to such a like high level. Like Cordell Patterson has like never done anything like what Debo is doing. And I think it's my prediction, but I think next year the league will look a little bit different with the way how he plays and how other teams will use their players. But
yeah, I mean, like I think like Tyreek Hill, you think of him with Mike McDaniel coming in.
Yeah,
they might just put Tyreek Hill in the backfield. And then like Jerry Jeudy too, as a Broncos fan, they were doing that a little bit with him last year. Jamar Chase could get some rushing attempts too. So yeah, I agree. I feel like Debo's definitely changing the game here with like a receiver that can just do it all, really. So
yeah, I think Cordell Patterson, I think, is really the first to do it. He's the first guy to do it. He's been doing it for a while. It's just he hasn't made the noise that Deebo Samuel did because he didn't have a type of year that Deebo Samuel did. I think one of the big reasons why Deebo Samuel was so effective in that is because his yards per carry was really good. He also only rushed for about 60 rushing attempts with 8 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, 360 yards.
That's one out of every less. So let's just say 1 out of 7 times he rushes the ball, he scores a touchdown. That's huge. I mean, Cordell Patterson's been doing that. He did that with the Bears. He played a running back, wide receiver flex position. He was mainly only a kick returner in Minnesota, but I think Cordell Patterson did it first. But
I think maybe Percy Harvin was
Percy Harvin too. I mean, Devin Hester was kind of like one of those guys. They had a kick return. They played him in the slot a couple times with the Bears. They gave him the ball out of the backfield. I just think what you said about being like revolutionary, it's kind of a big word to use for a player who doesn't seem like that great of a player in relevance to everyone, in the NFL or even in history. But the fact that he did that is going to make some big, it's going to make players who are entering the draft nowadays and hit free agency, similar to Cordell Patterson, get contracts and a different type of role with these new offensive gurus that are coming in. These young, coaches that are coming in are going to try to like use this Debo effect on his players. What you guys said with what Asher said about Tyreek Hill with the new coach Miami, and I like what you said about that. I just think that Cordell Patterson was really the first to do it. Just couldn't make a lot of noise because he didn't put up the numbers. but he did last year with the Falcons for sure.
Well, don't forget this either though. Debo this season, he had the most yards per catch in the league with I think it was like 18.2 or something. I think he was number 1 in the league for yards per catch. And I'm just gonna throw this in there because I know earlier you said you have Tyreek Hill as your best yards after catch guy. I think based on last season, I think Debo takes that spot, but that's just my opinion. Very arguable, but I also really like the guy. So
That's fair. All right, I'm gonna move on to 8. I kind of already spoiled it, but Myles Garrett. I mean, we already talked about him. I just, kind of going back to what Sebastian had said earlier about, the second half of the year. I know he was dealing with some injuries as well, but he kind of just felt like, he wasn't himself, and he kind of slid in his, impact on the game. The Browns defense also just kind of started shitting the bed, it seemed like. So, that's all I really got to say about Myles Garrett. But who's you guys got at 8?
I've got Cooper Kupp. The rest of these guys we've already talked about. So
Okay. All right. Stone.
I got an interesting one. I don't think it's been said yet. I got Jonathan Taylor.
yeah,
I think his season was super underrated, and it was hard for me not to put him on here because I'm not a huge fan of putting running backs in the top 10 because, like I said, I think that they're pretty much expendable despite like maybe 1 or 2 in the recent years. Jonathan Taylor had a huge season, and I think if you put Jonathan Taylor on another team, he would have made the same amount of noise, except he would be kind of his noise would be masked a little bit. But the fact that the Colts offense, weapons wise, terrible. And say what you want about Carson Wentz. I know you love him, TJ, but
Not anymore. I'm off the boat.
okay, you're off the boat now. Okay.
ship is
Yes,
sailed.
Yeah, I didn't want to offend you because I know you like Carson Wentz a lot before the season at least and during the season. Carson Wentz played good. Let's not get it wrong. Carson Wentz played good football this year. I mean, 26-7 touchdown to interception ratio. The touchdowns might be off by 1 or 2, but Carson Wentz played good football. Didn't turn the ball over, which is huge for a quarterback. But can't win the big games. I mean, week 18 against Jacksonville to go to the playoffs?
Clonsville.
Like it makes sense. Long story short, it makes sense to me why Carson Wentz is out of the building. You watched the podcast with Pat McAfee and the Colts GM. I thought that was pretty interesting what they had to talk about. But it just proves my point even more now that Carson got traded. Like Jonathan Taylor is that guy. Despite what you want to say, I mean, he got carried by his O-line. I mean, Quentin Nelson missed 3 games only, but their O-line's really good. But Jonathan Taylor had a great season, historic, and with Carson Wentz, really, really helped that team make a playoff push. And I think if there was any other running back there, that team wouldn't have even been competing for the division at all. I don't even think they could be competing for a playoff spot without Jonathan Taylor in the backfield.
I don't want to diminish how great of a player he is because I did think that he was going to explode this year. I thought he was going to have a breakout season, but it's kind of like a Ezekiel Elliott type thing. Like you throw Zeke in with that line that the Cowboys used to have, and like he's ultimately like a +2. You know what I mean? Like as far as like how great he is, like in a 10 scale. You know what I mean? Like instead of like a 6 or 7, now he's like an 8 or a 9. That's I feel like with the same effect you have with Jonathan Taylor, and it's not a shot at him. It's like a team sport. And when you got everybody doing their job at a very, very high level, it's going to make everybody better. So I just, I don't know, what position he would be in really if he didn't have that line, but I don't know. I like the take though.
Yeah, I like the pick for sure.
Yeah, I also got Jonathan Taylor at 8. I don't know. I feel like you couldn't not put him in there based on the season he had. And I do agree with what you were saying, TJ, with the, Ezekiel Elliott. He does have, Quentin Nelson paving the way for him. But yeah, I mean, not much to say. 2,000 yards. I mean, shit. Hard not to put him in there.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, like I forgot about him, but
it's okay. We all forget.
I don't know.
I changed my list like mid-session.
Yeah. I still don't know if I would have him top 10 though, but he's definitely on the fringe. Just like his speed, he's probably the fastest running back. Like star running back, I guess. There's probably other guys that are faster, but the speed and the power, I think he could be doing what he did last year with any other team as well, like you said, Stone.
All right. For me, number 9, Devontae Adams. We already talked about him. But I mean, just the way he is able to separate, if he has the opportunity to be single covered, I just think it's no one's better in the entire league. And I'm excited to see what he does with the Raiders. I think having the other weapons, especially a middle of the field guy like Waller at tight end, and another great route runner in Hunter Renfrow alongside him, I think that'll be really interesting to see how defenses try to prepare against him, because I feel like it's going to be like a pick your poison. Like, all right, well, you're either going to bracket Waller, or you're going to bracket Adams, or you're going to do both. And then Hunter Renfrow is going to be winning single coverage every single time. And the box is going to be light, so they might run the ball as well.
You can't forget about Josh Jacobs, dude. He's a
monster.
monster.
I know Josh Jacobs is amazing. I love Josh Jacobs a lot, actually. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he does this year. And the reason he's at 9 and not anywhere higher is just because, I kind of felt as a Packers fan, and it might just be because Aaron Rodgers, but we didn't really necessarily miss him. You know what I mean? We definitely, I mean, who doesn't want to have Devontae Adams on their team? Yes, but if we didn't have him for a game, it was definitely more difficult. But Aaron made it easy. I don't know.
Can I ask you a question, Tej?
Yeah.
So if you say you put him so low on the list because he has Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and he's a great talent, obviously, but you only have him at 9 because he has Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Why is that not a same discredit to a player like to Travis Kelce, who you have super high on your list, but has Patrick Mahomes at quarterback?
I just think, tight ends are a little bit easier to get the ball to. If you're a bad quarterback, and like I said earlier, tight ends are a quarterback's best friend. And maybe it's starting to change with the times, but I mean, think about it. Middle of the field, right? Like, that's the easiest throw. Boundary throws are a little bit tougher. So unless you're getting, rollouts and wide receivers coming across the field, or, post routes where you got to hit a guy in stride 25 yards on the field, I mean, tight ends can be, a nice safety blanket. And that's just the only, I mean, if we're looking at my list as far as wide receivers / tight ends, I've got Kelce, Hopkins, and Adams. I mean, those are the 3 best guys. I mean, whatever order you want to put them in.
Forgot Jamar Chase.
Oh, fuck.
And Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, and
Deebo. Yeah, no, you're right. The last one actually is a tie. My 10's a tie because I did throw Deebo in at 10 as a little spoiler, but it's tied with somebody else. So be with that as you may. But who's your guys' 9s?
9, I have Derrick Henry. It's for all the reasons we talked about.
Too low, bud.
Maybe.
He didn't play much.
I just look at, 6-3 after Henry got hurt. I know the playoff game against the Bengals, he was definitely still hurt. And it showed. And I thought Foreman was probably the better running back on that day.
Yeah, I agree.
When Henry was hurt. So yeah, I could probably move him up a bit higher. It's just really the injuries, only like 8 games played, and just, I think they succeeded without Derrick Henry better than I thought they would have. So,
dude, I don't know, man. The slander on Derrick Henry, man, just because they're 6-3 versus 6-2 with him, it's just like, dude, their defense started playing a lot better. And Donta Foreman, he's not no scrub. Don't get me wrong, but as watching the Titans as like an NFL fan, their offense became almost unwatchable, because it's just like Tannehill is not that guy, but he's got weapons and he can't get him the ball. So it's like frustrating in that aspect. And then Donta Foreman will like pop off a couple nice runs here and there, but it's like there's no consistent will of force through 4 quarters like Derrick Henry. So it was frustrating, for me to watch as a fan. But who else at 9 for Stone and Sebastian?
I also had Tay. Reasons already there.
Okay.
Yeah, I got Trent Williams at 9.
All right. And then for me, 10, like I said, I got a tie here. Debo, and another guy actually on the same team, Fred Warner. And I know me and Asher have talked about this about running backs, being very replaceable. And Asher has brought up actually really great points about linebackers being really kind of the same thing. Unless you have a Derrick Henry as a running back or whatever, or unless you have like a Fred Warner, I believe, or a Bobby Wagner prime, at linebacker, Ray Lewis, guys like that, linebackers are pretty replaceable. But Fred Warner, to me, is the reason that defense did not completely fall apart the year that Nick Bosa was gone with the ACL. I mean, they were still a top 10 defense. They were still pretty good. They had still some guys on the defensive line, which helps Bosa. I mean, they had Buckner and Armstead and Bosa and D Ford, I think, the year they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs. Like, as a pass rusher, imagine having 4 guys that can literally all get to the quarterback on their own. That makes Nick Bosa's job way easier. Believe that. But Fred Warner is the guy that I just think he's like the leader. He makes impact plays. I mean, I'm not saying that Nick Bosa doesn't, but the forced fumble against Green Bay in the playoff game, huge. That really changed the momentum of the entire game. And just his ability to get literally all over the field. The amount of tackles he's racked up the last couple of years. He was an All-Pro 2 years ago. Last year he wasn't. I believe he still made the Pro Bowl though. So yeah, I mean, just battling through injuries as well, still playing at an elite level, I think is I think he's the best linebacker in the league. So that's why I got him at 10. But squeezed in with Debo here for the reasons you guys said as well. Just he's a dude, like literally, this is kind of a new position. And just with that being really only one season under his belt, I can't really put him anywhere higher, but he was the heart and soul that 49ers offense. So that's why it's kind of ironic that I got the heart and soul of the defense, in my opinion, the heart and soul of the offense, both tied for 10 as most important players outside of quarterback. And, that might be, why they made it to the NFC Championship game. So yeah. What do you guys got?
I think that's a very interesting take with Fred Warner top 10.
Yeah. It's definitely a stretch, I think, but I think I had him 10 last year.
I think it's pretty interesting. Because, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see how you could put him and Debo on just thinking about what each of them respectively did for their team. For this season, at least. I just don't see how Fred Warner's on that level. And I can also, right now I take Micah Parsons over Fred Warner. There's a few guys, but yeah, I mean, I don't hate the take. It's an interesting one. It's a unique one. I like it.
Yeah, no, I just thought like I said, I've kind of agreed that linebackers have become a little bit replaceable. I mean, Devondre Campbell literally was nobody and then came to the Packers and just had like a great season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All pro, right? Gets his contract. So it's
I just feel like with linebackers, I mean, you look at the Rams and the Bengals both making the Super Bowl, and probably the best linebacker out of like both groups is Logan Wilson on the Bengals. So it's like
game.
Yeah, he did. But I feel like with the defense, it's like, the secondary covers the pass up and everything, and the defensive line shuts down the running game, and the linebackers are just kind of there to like clean up. I just feel like if you want like a super good defense, you just build around the defensive line and the corners first, or the secondary first.
I don't know about that one.
I disagree.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
My number 10
it's just
is
really
a
a basis of
linebacker.
opinion, but you got
My
10
number 10 is a linebacker. Darius Leonard.
Okay.
I think it's about time Darius Leonard. I could definitely understand if you wouldn't have him in your top 10. It's kind of like my hot take because I don't really know what to do with 10. But Darius Leonard's now made 4 All-Pro teams. He's a beast. He is that entire Colts defense, and he's the best 4-3 Sam linebacker in the past a lot of years. I mean, he is. Can't name a better.
Kuechly was pretty good.
He was a Mike. I can't name a better
fair.
I can't name a better 4-3 outside linebacker than Darius Leonard in the league right now, obviously, and for the past few years. Darius, and you can compare him to all the Mike linebackers like Bobby Wagner and Roquan Smith, Fred Warner. He's up there with them, if not better than some of them. So I think he just makes that Colts defense, mesh. Obviously, they have DeForest Buckner, who's a great defensive tackle, but Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner paired together, I don't think either one makes it without the other one, but they make the Colts have a top 3, and I don't think they're 3 or 2 run defense in the league. The Colts have a great run defense, and it's thanks to Darius Leonard, who's a great quarterback. He's he can drop back into coverage, not as well as Fred Warner can, but he can. He's a great run stopper. I think he might be the best run stopper in the league next to Bobby Wagner right now
Yeah.
at the linebacker position.
Too. Yeah,
True.
Bobby's also aging too. So
True.
I mean, prime Bobby Wagner. I mean, dude, I remember the days of Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner.
Oh yeah.
Those
I just think that Darius Leonard has so much value for his team. I mean, he's proved it with the accolades so far with 4 all-pro teams, 3 out of the 4 being first teams. And he's really carried that Colts defense. I can't wait to see what he does, next year with a new defensive coordinator. I mean, granted, Matt Eberflus, who's now the Bears head coach. Yeah.
Let's go Bears.
I don't know. I think Darius Leonard, even without Matt Eberflus, is still going to do really well, and they're still going to have a top 5 run defense in the league, like they have been. So that's why Darius Leonard's so high. I can't think of a linebacker who's really more versatile than him.
And the forced fumbles, forced fumbles too.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's like every game he has like one where he just peanut punches it out.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, you make a great case for Darius Leonard to be above Fred Warner, no doubt.
He's just a different type of player. He's a different type of player. I don't think you can really compare the two. Fred Warner's like the best pass coverage linebacker in the league and had, in the past maybe couple years. Darius Leonard's a pass coverage linebacker, but he's also, he's a Sam linebacker. He plays the outside. He's not a Mike, and he's a way better run stuffer than Fred Warner is. But they flip flop, and they're also 2 different positions a little bit. Granted, they're both a linebacker and a 4-3, but they're still a little different.
Yeah, I think also if we're talking about the rest of the league and linebackers that kind of stand out, like that just aren't necessarily like replaceable. Another guy, I mean, the pairing that they have in Tampa is amazing with Levante David and Devin White. I mean, just the speed that they have. I mean, that's very rare at the linebacker position. Just being able to get to plays, lightning quick, cover up holes, all that together, but. Yeah, no, I don't really have anything else to add.
Yeah, I think one more thing I want to say with Darius Leonard is you can't really name another guy in that defense besides DeForest Buckner who makes them a top rush defense in the league. Like, I think Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner are the entire defense, and you could name another name on their defense. They are not even close to the level as a lot of the guys in the league. They got Kwity Paye on the edge, but he's a rookie. He was a rookie last year, and their cornerbacks and safeties are not great. And the other linebackers paired with Darius Leonard are not great. So the fact that the Colts defense is as good as they are with Darius Leonard, that's one, if not the biggest reason why I put him up here.
All right.
I like
Sebastian. Sebastian, what do you got at 10?
I got Debo.
Oh, Debo.
Debo at 10.
Fair.
Little side note on Debo. Make sure to put him as a running back in Madden. He'll turn into a 99 overall.
Fuck off.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Damn.
Maybe that's why Sebastian's so hot on him because drafted a running back at 99 overall in the second round. Okay, never mind.
All right, listen, boys. Me and Ash got to turn something in by 5, so we got an hour and a half to do it. But it's like deadline shit, like hard deadline shit. So I think we're gonna have to end it early, not talk about the NBA. Unfortunately, too bad we can't talk about the Lakers sucking and the Nets probably gonna get bounced in the first round.
And how good the Bulls are, and they're gonna win the ship despite everyone thinking they're terrible now because they
Sweep the
dropped to the
Celtics.
5 seed. Yeah.
Okay, settle down with the Bulls talk. Don't get me
Celtics
started.
getting swept.
I was right. Who was right? I was right.
Right about what? I don't know what you're right about.
The
I said
Bulls
the same thing.
not being a top 3 seed.
They are a top 3 seed when they are healthy, but they're had 3 players that are key in the rotation out for almost
TJ.
the entire year.
What are you 2-18 against the top 8 teams?
I mean, we don't
TJ.
have Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball, or Pat Will. Many Kawhi Leonard over here not playing. DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine can't do everything, and I hate Vooch.
What happened to
get him out of Chicago, by the way. I hate
DeMar
Vooch.
MVP campaign?
Yeah, what happened to DeMar MVP?
He
Still
doesn't have a
going.
supporting
The
cast.
MVP.
Maybe you
It's
should
still
look
going.
at LeBron. What's
It's
LeBron
still
doing
going.
over there with those supporting cast? It's the same
Hey,
thing.
he's winning the scoring title. That's all I know.
I don't think
winning
he's
the
not.
scoring
Yeah,
title.
how's their team? What's their team looking like? What's the
Hey,
record? So
Nobody
TJ.
cared. Nobody
TJ.
cared. what Jordan
That's what I
did
thought.
in the
That's what I
playoffs.
thought. At least the Bulls can win some games.
TJ, I think that when around the time OKC makes the playoffs is around the time you can like dump my ashes in the ocean or something. It'll be around then.
No, it's actually gonna be a lot quicker turnaround than you think. Maybe as soon as next year.
Josh Giddey's the answer, guys. Don't worry. Don't
Josh
worry.
Giddey is
Josh
amazing.
Giddey
He's
and
the
Josh
answer.
SGA.
He's the
I'm
answer.
telling
He's
you.
the answer,
Josh
guys.
Giddey.
Don't
Josh
worry.
MVP.
Giddey and SGA, and we
Yeah.
get a wing score. It's over. It's over.
Oh, it's over. Yeah, we're not gonna have a center,
Over.
but it's over. It's over.
Dude. It's
We're
over.
not gonna have a center, but it's over. Yeah.
It's over. Center and bad. Throw a fucking.
Yeah. Okay. All right, T.
Yeah, he'll-
Okay.
All right. Well, listen. That's it for today. Appreciate you guys hopping on. All right. I love
Yeah.
doing this. This is amazing. Little reunion here. The Masu podcast from earlier in the year. But yeah. I enjoyed you guys. I enjoyed the list. Send me the list, by the way. Send me them in like text or whatever, so I'm gonna make an edit. I'm gonna upload it to Stallion. So yeah, it's gonna look good. It's gonna look fine. And yeah, I'm glad doing this with you guys. Sorry we can't talk about the NBA, but duty calls. So
We know it's gonna happen. So
Yeah, no need to talk about it. LeBron sucks. Jordan's the goat. All right, we'll see you guys.
and
Yeah.
MVP.
peace out. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. This is the Edge podcast. Thank you.